Yeah, yeah. These are my thoughts. These are my thoughts about reparations in America, black Americans who are descendants from the people who actually was in slavery, captivity, dehumanized, no rights, no justice, no protection from the law. Also, the people who fought in the Civil War and actually protected this country, because if the Civil War was lost to the South, the Confederacy, America wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have any of this prosperity that you people enjoy. So, also the intellectual property that's been robbed prior to, during, and after slavery. The Industrial Revolution was all built on free labor and destruction of a people. So I don't think America will ever pay reparations without being forced. We will have to fight a civil war too, a second civil war, to ensure recompense. After the first civil war, so-called blacks, free slaves, were given supposedly reparations. We was allowed to inherit the entire South.
There's a slowdown ahead.
You had a government that was created solely for the freed Negroes, Freedmen's Bureau, abandoned lands. That's where you have all your HBCUs, historical black colleges and universities. You had Black Wall Street. You had a lot of prosperity going down during the Reconstruction era after slavery. And all of those gains was robbed from blacks after they destroyed the Freedmen's Bureau, robbed the bank, the central bank, and they gave us a chance to become U.S. citizens, but with a stipulation that we're separate but equal. And they slowly but surely chopped at all the accomplishments that we achieved 20 years after so-called slavery. All we have left really is the black colleges, universities. We have corporations and whatnot, but it's been taken away slowly but surely. So reparations will have to cover decades and centuries worth of damage, systematic damage that American government has caused the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Congress, Senate, all of them. Even to this Joe Biden guy, the guy who wrote the crime bill to destroy the black families, the mandatory minimum. So the reparation thing, we need another war, a civil war to do this, to finish the job that we failed at after the first Civil War. And we should never became citizens of this country. We should establish our own country, or figured out
There's a slowdown ahead.
where our true nation is. Are we from Morocco? Are we Moors, Hebrews, Egyptians? I could see the truth in that, because these particular nations are vacant right now. Nobody knows where the Egyptians are. Nobody knows where the Moors are, or the Native Americans are. But we know we got an unknown people in America who was able to build a great civilization, the greatest civilization ever to, so-called one of the greatest civilizations that ever exist. The only way you could build a civilization is if you are civilized. You must be part of a system. You can't get a caveman and expect him to build you in America. You got to get the master builders. You got to get the scholars, the priests who have this in their genetic makeup. And this is why supposedly over 80% of useful inventions in the world within the last century came from black Americans. Probably more than that, because there's something about the so-called black Americans that actually, that actually have the ability to create, to manifest order. And we have to be the Egyptians, because they did the same thing for thousands of years. You have to come from it in order to do it. But reparations, I don't think they'll ever admit, because once you get into the conversation of the damage, you got to go to the beginning. See, everything has a story. You can't just start off, okay, the middle passage, the end. You can't start with the end, the Civil War. You got to go to why did this happen, how did this happen, and where did these people come from? Who were they? What nation did they belong to? And what inheritance did those people have before they was actually stripped from their original nation? And then you got to look at the extent of the contributions that these people did to this country and other countries. You got to calculate all of this damage in order to recompense these people. And then you got to restore them to their true identity. You got to give them a knowledge of their self, precisely what tribe, what country, what city, what flag, everything has to be restored, because we didn't just jump up and just existed out of a bottom of an ocean. You know, they claim that the evolution, people claim that man came from these different creatures that evolved. It's a story, but you don't have a story for us here. We don't know where we came from, what country, but why do we have these gifts? Like, the world is drunk off of Black American culture, the entire world. You know, China, I saw a video, Steph Curry in Japan, and they treating him like he was a god, like he was a deity. But it's something about these people that's different and unique to every other people on earth. And that must be established also in the so-called reparations, to give them the true knowledge of where they came from, who were their parents. We have the book of Kings in the Bible, in which they tell you the bloodline, the lineage from David to Adam, Jesus to Adam. You could trace them all the way to Adam. But if that's true, you should always also be able to trace us all the way back to Adam. Also, the missing pieces in between. Or you could just say, those are like, it stopped right there. You see what I'm saying? The people they mentioned, the bloodlines, it just stopped. You don't know. You don't know what country he's from. You don't know what country we're from. People say, like, I listen to the Moors, Taj Tariq Bey, I listen to him. This guy says, this is the North Gate. He say this is Morocco. America is Africa, and this is our original territory. And it's true, because nobody, this country, especially the Midwest, every state represented a different nation, a Native American nation. We still have the names of the states. We still have the black people, so-called black people, living in every single state, but we just don't really connect it to the original identity. You know, like you dealing with algebra, you have an equation, you have a variable, which is the unknown, you have things that you know. So the idea is you must decipher what you know. You got to decipher what you don't know from what you do know, until you could actually have the equal to the variable, the x, the unknown factor, equals whatever's left. So we know we here. You know what I'm talking about? We know there's unknown civilizations, unknown nations that are vacant right now. 2 and 2 together, right there. That's them. You from the Midwest, you from the South, you from the East Coast. Those are your nations by default. Came from a ship. What unknown nation is over there on another continent that you just have a civilization that just stopped out of nowhere? That's your people right there. You know. And these people that they actually conquered or defeated, however that happened, they must have so much fear that they will not even tell you who you are, because they might fear that you might actually reconquer them. You might actually put them in oppression and slavery, so they don't even want you to know who you are. They don't want to kill you because they need you for your prowess, your ingenuity, your ability, your natural abilities to build civilizations and to establish order, justice, law, you know, to innovate, to create. They need you for that, but they don't want you to utilize those principles for your own self and to rebuild your own nation. You know, I see them destroying, they destroyed so many black cities who almost elevated, who could have elevated. They came and wiped them out to prevent that, but they still need the descendants because they have these natural gifts. But when you look at reparations, they got to deal with all of that. And I don't think they're ever going to do it. The only way it's going to happen is if it's leverage, force, either by war, threat of war, or this is the easiest thing to do. This is what King was talking about, the boycott. They don't want to pay you reparations. Pay yourself reparations with your own money. Just don't give them any money. Just save your money. Use the money that you save to build your own empire up. Just the Gandhi, King say non-violent resistance. Just don't spend no money with them. You spend $1 trillion a year, so-called black Americans. They don't care until they see till they feel it. You got to stop giving them money, stop giving them votes, and stop giving them money. And use the money you save to repair yourself. But you still need to figure out who your original identity is. Who is your forefathers? What was your inheritance? What did they leave for you? What is your birthright? What is yours? You will never be able to get that from another person unless they have the documentation to give to you. You need those documents to know exactly who we are and where we come from and what land is ours by birthright that we need to reclaim in so-called Black Americans. But as far as money, just withhold your dollars, withhold your economic power, and then use the money to build your own nation until further notice, because I don't think they're ever going to restore you to your true glory, your true identity, and they'll never try to help you become wealthy or rich or to recompense you for all that you have contributed to this world. So I think the only action that you can take at this moment is to boycott and to withhold the dollars that you spend with these foreigners, also with these Caucasians, with anybody that's not a so-called Black American. You shouldn't give them not one penny, not $1, unless it's like you need gas, you on E, you gotta pull over into an Arab gas station, then you gotta get that gas. But whatever you could actually afford to withhold or to do without, you should save your money. Don't give it to any of these people, and use that money collectively somehow, and that money, that $1 trillion, could go a long way on a collective basis. You could build your own empire by stop participating with your oppressors, the ones who actually deny you reparations, deny your humanity. Just don't give them any money and don't give them any votes.